Entertainment games and laughs galore. We bring fun straight to your door. Pop culture, talk and trivia, history and new video games. Movies, music, wrestling too. Sports and stories just for you. Every week a brand new show. Come along, it's time to go. Soapbox or dashboard, oh hey. We're here to brighten up your day. Grab a snack and take a seat. Let's dive in, the fun's complete.
Hey everyone, and welcome in for episode 102, Sciurophobia. We're your hosts. I'm Jason.
I am Ray.
And Sciurophobia is the fear of squirrels, which I do not have unless I get too close, because they are vicious little fuckers.
I mean, it's okay if I pet one. I've pet one before. And then the guy's like, you have to hold it like this. And then you get all of its hands and legs, and it's just like, what the
All right, anyways, so this episode we are going to focus on phobias, and then kind of some odd disorders, diseases, conditions, and syndromes. So let's start with telling you what some of these things actually are. A disease is an identifiable biological or psychological abnormality, often with known causes, signs, and symptoms. For example, tuberculosis. And some of the key traits are it usually has a specific cause, such as bacteria, virus, genetic mutation, and it can usually be diagnosed through tests and has predictable progression. A disorder is a functional abnormality or disturbance in a physical or mental health, and it may or may not have a known cause. Major depressive order is an example, and it's kind of a mood-based type thing. And sometimes where
are you getting this from?
It's just ChatGPT. I just asked for definitions.
Where?
ChatGPT.
Cite it.
I mean, you don't have to on definitions and stuff like that. Anyways, what?
I have all my stuff cited.
All right, whatever.
Oh my.
Okay. A condition is a general term that refers to any state of health, illness, or abnormality, and chronic condition like diabetes or a skin condition like eczema or something like that. Can be temporary, or chronic and last forever. A syndrome is a collection of signs and symptoms that occur together and characterize a particular abnormality or condition, but may not have a known cause. Like Down syndrome is a genetic condition with a distinct set of features. And then a phobia. A phobia is an anxiety disorder involving an intense irrational fear of a specific object, situation, or activity, such as arachnophobia being the fear of spiders. It is always psychological, and it involves an avoidance behavior, and it falls under the umbrella of disorders. Now, that being said, it says irrational. Most people I know that have some sort of phobia have some sort of trauma or something like that involved with it, whether it's their trauma or someone above them's trauma. Like me and you were talking when we were putting stuff together for this episode. Like you said, someone's mom was afraid of snakes.
Yeah,
and so
it caused them to be afraid of snakes.
Yeah, so then
it's your upbringing and stuff.
Yeah, like my mom.
Nature versus nurture. I mean, You're not actually, honestly, when we're born, we're not really afraid of anything except for loud noises and maybe spiders. I mean, that's kind of natural.
Clown snakes. I'm kidding. But no, and I think sometimes it's not always irrational. I mean, I don't do heights anymore.
Yeah.
because I fell off a ladder.
Yeah,
So and I've got a kind of a foot that never healed right, so I never stand like level. I feel wobbly on a ladder. But I think that I don't think that it's always irrational on phobias.
I don't know. Phobias and syndromes, they're very fascinating. I mean, there's a lot of different things that go into it.
Do you want to get into some of the different types of?
Sure. I mean, a lot of them are misunderstood neurological conditions, and some of them are like bizarre fears of like peanut butter or clowns. But I mean, I think we'll dive into this, and it really depends on like who it affects, and you know, I mean, there's multiple ways these things can be treated too. So like phobias, a lot of those are treated through therapy and even just exposure. So like, I'm afraid of snakes. Well, no, we're gonna put you in a room full of snakes. You're not afraid of snakes anymore. Congratulations.
Which in some instances, I bet it could make it worse.
Right. So like exposure sometimes works, but it has to be controlled. So you can't just like throw somebody in a room full of snakes and be like, "All right, bye. We're gonna lock this door now." Like that would just make it worse.
You probably have to ease someone into it in some instances, or
like maybe take them to the zoo and let them hold the snake or something like that. And they're like, "Look, see, this is a python. And it could kill you, but it won't. So you don't have to worry about leaving your house."
I sent you the clip from like the Maury show where
the lady where she's afraid of olives. Oh my god, that was great. Oh, he like straight up just goes, "Bring out the olives," and she's like, "Ah,
not the olives."
Not the olives. He's just like, "Mary, it's fine."
Yeah.
That poor lady. Anyways, not having any of that.
I don't know why you'd be afraid of olives. I mean, disliking, but
I think she had mentioned like she had a dream about her grandpa waking up in his coffin or something, and he like had green eyes, and it was like the same color of the olives.
Oh,
which is so weird. And it's completely irrational, but that's what a phobia is.
Yeah.
It's completely irrational, and it stops you from doing everyday things. So you're like, I don't want to go there because why? Because there might be fucking olives. Like, really, dude? You're not going to go into the restaurant where everybody else is going because we're all trying to have a good time. Nope, I can't go. I can't go in there. There's olives. Nope, not going to happen.
Feel like it's an ice cream store. Like they're not really in them. Like they have the pieces.
Oh my
look
god!
Like
and then they're like, "No, we got sprinkles that look like olives, guys."
So a couple of years ago, I got bit by a dog and it ended up a really nasty bite. Yeah. And for quite a while, if I didn't know your dog and you weren't like, if I didn't know a person's dog, I didn't even go near it. Like It hurt, and it easily could have been one of the kids that was around in the same place. And so I don't know if that really falls under phobia. I think it's just being cautious, but maybe it was a phobia. I don't know. But like I basically avoided other people's dogs. Like if I didn't really know them, just because it sucked. Like my leg got infected and everything like that. But you know, it's kind of like people's fear of pit bulls, and pit bulls are one of the better dogs out there as long as the wrong people don't get a hold of them. And all right, let's get into some of the weird phobias.
Okay, you want to talk about the weird phobias, or do you want to just talk about phobias in general?
Dude, I think the weird's like the more like obscure and interesting stuff.
Okay, let's go with the weird phobias. So at the top of the list, we're gonna go to the very top one. Number one. Let me see if I can remember how to pronounce this. Arachibutyrphobia. Arachibutyrphobia. It's so weird to say, but it's the fear of peanut butter sticking to the roof of your mouth.
That's weird. Pull your mic in a little bit.
It's really weird. Is
There you
is
go.
it better?
Yeah.
Okay. And that comes from
I love
book.
peanut butter. I mean, I get where it's annoying if it sticks to the roof of your
Yeah.
mouth, but being like afraid of it, I don't know.
That comes out of Fighting the Fear by McGrill.
McGrill,
Yeah.
any relation to McLovin?
No. Nomophobia is actually becoming more popular.
What is that?
That is a fear of being without a mobile phone. Now that's
Oh yeah.
this is
Jesus.
actually this has been diagnosed in several
What am I supposed to do without
teenagers.
my cell phone?
Yeah, no, it's like every child who is like from 11 to 16, you take their phone away and then they're like, what am I supposed to do all day? I don't know. Go live your fucking life. Read a book.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter. And they're like, no, I need that. They get really stressed out and they can't handle being without their phone. And it's literally just not having that device.
How much would you guess you're on your phone a day?
Oh, a lot. My phone actually tells me. I've been on my phone like
I don't check.
I've been on my phone for like
But see,
8 hours today.
I also have two phones. I have one for work and one for personal. Work one I'm on quite a bit.
Yeah.
I'm not on my personal as much unless I'm doing stuff for the podcast or sports that I'm coaching or stuff like that. I get on Marketplace on Facebook and scroll through Facebook and TikTok a little bit, but not as much as I used to.
I'm thirsty. Should we talk about these?
But no, we don't have to.
Okay, can we just drink them?
Yeah.
Sweet.
But I don't know. I don't feel like I have an obsession with it. I feel like if I like having it.
Oh, that's good.
I like having it so then I can stay in contact.
Yeah, I
But
feel
I
like
also
it's
feel-
useful.
I also feel like if my kids and wife are with me, then I mean,
Yeah, you don't really.
there'll be
need it.
times where the phone will be in my pocket all day and I won't even pull it out
Yeah,
to check it,
I don't need
and maybe pull it out to glance at the time, and that's it. All right, back to phobias. Sorry.
Okay.
Squirrel.
Xanthophobia is the fear of the color yellow.
Weird.
Yeah, so it's like I wear a yellow shirt sometimes. I'm just like, I wonder how many people at work are just like, oh my fucking
Yeah, but you
God.
gotta think though, is if there's a xanthophobia for
Yeah.
yellow, there's probably one for black and blue.
Oh,
and
there's
green
one for every
and-
color, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Genophobia is the fear of someone's knees. And this is all coming out of the
What?
this is all coming out of the anxiety and phobia workbook by Bourne. And then,
I think I've heard of that. I think I've heard where people like get grossed out by knees.
Well, there's like people who are like, I can't even look at my own knees. That's how
weird.
That's how afraid of knees I am. Like, I don't want to look at my knees. Like, okay.
That's weird, man.
And, like, I dated this girl, and she made me cover up my knees. Like, anytime I wore shorts, I'd have to wear these, like, knees covers. It's like, what the fuck?
Maybe he had ashy knees.
She's like, no, lotion. Get lotion.
But
Anatidiaphobia, which is the fictional fear that somewhere, somehow, a duck is watching you.
happens in my house all the time.
The fuck? You have actual ducks, though. They're probably
Yeah,
just
no.
like popping up. You're like, how the hell did you get in the house?
Well, I don't have that issue anymore. It's been a while since we've had a duck in our house. We haven't had babies in quite a while.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on, squirrel here.
That one's just a joke. Omphalophobia. That is a fear of belly buttons.
Weird.
Yeah.
Like I could see where sometimes some of this stuff grosses you out. Like, you know, some people don't clean their belly button, so they got lint
Yeah.
in it. I don't know how, but my belly button collects lint. I don't know how.
I think it's because our
Hair.
shirts. Well, we have hair down there too, but like our shirts are made out of cotton and fibers, and it pulls when we move. And so when we lean on things, we're also bigger. So like our gut kind of presses up against things. And what happens is it causes friction and it just literally peels off little bits of that stuff. And we don't necessarily, when we wash, I mean, we're washing kind of fast. We're not spending so much time in the shower. So we're not really getting inside of there going like, oh.
Yeah.
We probably should.
I don't know.
We should develop a belly button brush.
No.
Like like a toothbrush, but a belly button brush.
I mean, most people I know just use a cotton swab.
No, I'm making this.
Corner of a towel.
I'm
All right, back to
this.
phobias, weird ass.
Pogonophobia, fear of beards. So that's crazy. Can you imagine being afraid of a beard?
Like I said, I can imagine being grossed out by some of this stuff.
A lot of phobias they're either childhood based or they're like trauma incident based.
Mhm.
So like if you have a car accident, you might be afraid to cross the street or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is pretty common.
And that's where I was talking about like the legit like
Yeah, there's
like there's
phobias.
a trauma or reason like if you've never encountered a duck in your life, but yet you have like a duck phobia or something like that.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Get the fuck over it. Papaphobia. That is the fear of the Pope.
What? Why?
You
Dude,
might be afraid of the Pope.
Hold on, because I listened back to the mythical creatures one,
Yeah.
and there's that Pope liquor.
Pope lick.
Yeah, there's that beast called like the Pope lick or whatever.
The Pope lick
Just
monster.
like,
It's like, what the fuck?
why is everyone obsessed with the Pope? What are you?
I want to look up. So, International Space Station. So, when the astronauts come back to Earth from the International Space
Ooh, don't
Station,
they have to like decompress for like a week or two or something like that?
they sometimes like will forget to like how to stand and be normal,
Mm-hmm.
and like their legs just give out, and sometimes they'll collapse.
Yeah, but that's more like a syndrome. I don't feel like that's a phobia.
That's what I'm trying to figure out what the syndrome is called.
I don't know. How long do you think Katy Perry had to deal with that?
I don't know. Probably not that long because she was only up there for like a day, wasn't she?
Dude, it was hours.
Yeah, so she wouldn't have any adverse effects.
Domino's trolled her and said number of pizzas sold while Katy Perry was in space, 2.
Oh my god. Well, Domino's must not have been doing very good then. Triskaidekaphobia.
Fear of Triscuits.
Nope, that is the fear of the number 13. So, I mean, there is quite a bit of. I kind of want to do an episode on the number 13.
Oh,
too.
numerology. We could dude, I've got a book on numerology.
No, not necessarily numerology, but
it
like superstitions
Yeah.
around number 13. A lot of people are really superstitious about number
Mhm.
13. And it's funny because it's kind of psychological. We'll be like, if you think about a number, and this will happen with any number, you can think about the number 6. You can think about the number 7. You're going to see it now.
Yeah.
Now you're going to start seeing that number.
What's the movie with Will Smith where they do that?
I don't know.
He has someone with like the number 55 or something like that. Like he has the number 55 all over the place.
So you just keep seeing it?
And no. He places it everywhere.
What?
And then he has a woman place a bet. I don't know, they're up in a suite and she places a bet and she sees the player 55 and she picks him.
Oh, that's weird.
And yeah, then they end up, I don't know, like because she was so conditioned to seeing the number 55, that's what she picked. And that's what the guy was I don't know. I can't remember what movie it was, but it's like a Will Smith, like not heist, but I think it's Margot Robbie's in it. I think. I don't know. All right, back to phobia. Sorry.
Okay. That came out of the book, The Science of Premonitions.
Premonitions.
Yeah. This is a really long word, and I'm going to try my best to pronounce it correctly. Hippopotomonstrosquipedaliophobia, and that is the fear of long words. Like, what the fuck?
You think they could have shortened that one a little bit?
You think they could have, and they could have just been like, hey, let's not stress this guy out, but he has hippopotamus. And they're like, what the fuck?
But like, what's the fear though? I mean, like,
I guess it's just like the fact that the word is so long, you have to like
try to spell it,
pause and pronounce through it.
I guess. I mean, I think we've all done that where we've started typing something on our phones and just like, no, that doesn't look right. And
or
then
like when you're spelling something,
yeah,
you
and
think
then
you have enough room to write it, and you're like, oh shit. And I gotta write really small over here. Ablutophobia. That is the fear of taking a bath or even just washing. And a lot of that stems from like childhood trauma. Like
take your fucking bath or I'll whoop your... Yeah.
Or
I never dealt with that, but I know kids that, like, there's at least like half a dozen movies where the mom was psychotic and screamed at the kids to take their bath.
Like, take a bath! And you're like, what the fuck?
Well, and then there's like Rugrats where like Chucky and Tommy were afraid of like getting sucked down the drain. Remember that?
That's funny. Harrison does get creeped out sometimes because he'll when the drain does the whole like circle thing, and it makes like a little twister, he'll like stick his finger in there. But then one time he like stuck his finger all the way down in the drain, and then he got it stuck where the metal folds, and he was like, ah! And I was like, unbend your finger first of all, like let it go. And he didn't know, like he was just hanging onto it, but he like folded his knuckle like underneath it and was like bending his hand. All he had to do was just let go of his finger and he could have just pulled it out. But he was holding it so tight that he didn't know. And he's like getting his finger stuck. And he's like, ah! And then it was freaking out Amelia because she's like, he's getting sucked into the drain. And I'm like, he's not. Like, you're making this worse.
There's a kid that I went to school with, and into his early teens, his sister ratted him out on this, and he was so mad. He was afraid of having the toilet flushed while he's sitting on it. He thought it would suck him in.
Fuck?
Yeah, he thought it'd suck him in.
Bro, automatic toilets must have fucked that kid up. How many times are you like on an automatic toilet and you like barely move and it's like, and you're like, Jesus, fuck. God damn it, I felt the wind suck my asshole out. Like, the fuck? Okay. I can't say it. Esoptrophobia. It's the fear of mirrors or seeing oneself in a mirror. So like you're walking by a mirror and you're just like, oh fuck!
Like you're afraid that it's going to like come after you, or
no, you're
like,
just
what?
afraid of like your own image, I guess.
That's weird.
Sciurophobia. That's the fear of hair. So that's like fear of like any loose hair.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Or like. That's why you're all gone. You're like, oh no, I'm growing a hair. Man, I feel bad for people who have that. 'Cause then they see me and then they're like, oh my god, he's got so much hair.
We should make some sort of bet where you gotta like shave your head if you lose it.
Oh god, no. Taphophobia, fear of being buried alive.
Well, that's reasonable. I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't stop doing my job because I'm afraid of being
yeah,
buried
true.
alive. So, um, calorophobia, or I think it's calorophobia.
Now, I know of someone that had whatever the phobia is that like of death.
Fear of death.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so it ate them alive so much that they ended up like offing themselves.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Calorophobia is the fear of clowns. Now, that one's a pretty common one.
Mhm.
It's not the most weirdest, but it is a weird one.
What's the fear of little people? We know at least one person that has that.
Pediophobia is a fear of dolls, and I'm actually kind of afraid of dolls. When I was younger, I definitely was afraid of dolls. Like my
What they
mom,
do,
my mom had
like,
this doll that was like, it would just sit there in the room, and
you swear it moved.
bro, okay, I swear to God, there was a couple times its fucking arm moved. It was like this. It was like, and I'm like, oh fuck! I'm like, oh fuck, it fucking moved. And then it's like, my mom's like, no, it didn't. No, you're just thinking of it. And then, like, the rest of my childhood, I was always like, I don't want to go in that room because the fucking doll is in
Ray's
there.
creeped himself back out, and now every little tiny noise made the rest of the recording, he's going to poop himself.
Dude, we have too many dolls in here.
No, we don't.
Yes, we
don't
do.
have dolls.
There's dolls everywhere. The fucking Waldo doll.
Those Funko Pops.
It's a Waldo doll.
Yeah,
It's a doll.
that's a Funko Pop.
Eh.
It's a figure.
Ugh. I just
All
don't
right.
like dolls. It's weird. Optophobia. That's fear of opening one's eyes.
What?
Like, no, just open your eyes. No, I can't. I can't. What if you go into a surprise party and then you're like, oh God, I don't want to open my eyes. Oh God, what happens if I open my eyes? And then like, you develop that phobia like at a surprise party. And they're like,
Jeez.
surprise! They're like, no, I can't. I fucking can't. Somniphobia is the fear of sleep. So that associates with like dying in your sleep. So people think like if I don't sleep, then I won't
Freddy
die in
can't
my
get me.
sleep. Or like maybe they've been having nightmares and so they're afraid of going to sleep. So yeah, and that actually did come out quite a bit after that movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Which I never found those. I mean, they're fun, but I've never found them like scary enough that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the movies are terrifying. Like the whole concept of it is, but it's not real. So that's the thing about horror movies. The people need to understand they're not real. Like, sure, some of that stuff could actually happen in real life, but it's not real. So, papyrophobia is the fear of paper. Good God, can you imagine? I mean, paper exists in everything now.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost everywhere. I don't think can think of anything that doesn't have paper. I mean, paper's made out of trees, so. Anthophobia is a fear of flowers. So that's kind of
Weird.
that would suck. Like you get a bouquet of flowers and you're just like, I can't take these, and they're like, they're just flowers. No, get them away from me now. Like, phobophobia, which is a fear of developing a phobia. That's like a box inside a box.
Yeah.
Phobophobia. Haphophobia, fear of being touched, and I think that has to do with like
That's probably,
certain
I mean,
disorders.
well,
Some disorders.
I
have
could
that.
also see that being like a trauma thing.
Yeah. Barophobia is a fear of gravity, and kind of it's irrational in the sense of like it's pulling you down constantly, and it will never stop pulling you down. That's why we have to walk and stand upright, because if we don't, it'll just pull us down. I guess their fear is like it will increase someday and we'll never be able to get out of it. Ergophobia is the fear of work or the workplace. A lot of these have been determined as an anxiety disorder. So where you're like, oh, I have to go to work again.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like you get actual anxiety from it.
I don't think I ever.
I've never had that happen to me. I've never been like in a job or in a position anywhere where I'm just like, oh no, I gotta go to work. Oh no. Like it's just work. Who gives a shit? You go in there, you do a little bit of stuff, you get paid, you go home.
Yep.
That's it. Chronophobia. Fear of the passage of time. And that's the last weird one.
Cronus.
Yeah. Chronophobia.
So there are definitely, I mean, basically anything that you can come up with that you're afraid of, there is a phobia name for it. There may not be like an official one. Like we were looking up like all sorts of ones, and like some of them we were getting feedback from and some of them we weren't, and that's fine.
Some fears are evolutionary.
Yeah.
So like fear of spiders, fear of snakes, it's evolutionary preparedness basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like we've evolved over time to know that some of these things are dangerous. Like black widow spider. Yeah, we don't want that thing crawling on us.
Mm-hmm.
A fucking copperhead. Yeah, we don't want that thing
Mm-hmm.
biting us. So we know, like, stay away from those things. But the irrational part is I can't do things because there might be a spider or a snake in there.
Yeah.
And it might bite me.
So like, calm down. It's a Waffle House.
Right.
So we're gonna jump over to a couple articles. This
Sweet.
is facts.net, and this is weirdest diseases you never knew existed. And I'm gonna kind of bounce around on it. The first one is and the author is to give me the author on this one.
So diseases usually syndromes usually are a group of like disorders and like it combines like neurological disorders and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So alien hand syndrome is basically where your hand kind of does its own thing and you can't control it.
Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. Walking corpse syndrome. We've talked about this before. It's a mental disorder that people think that they're dead.
Oh.
Or that they're missing parts of their body or whatever.
I've heard of that where people like they'll fall asleep and they wake up and they're like, "Oh, I died," and then they think that they're dead and that only a few people can see them. And it's funny because like a lot of times people are just doing their own thing, so they're not paying attention to you. So you'll just walk on by and they're like, "Look, see, I'm dead. They didn't even see me. They didn't even see me." It's like, well,
exploding head syndrome.
Yeah.
And that is basically when you are usually when you're starting to fall asleep or when you're waking up and all of a sudden you hear a noise, usually a loud noise, and it usually sounds like an explosion or gunshot.
I've never had that, but
I've had it when I've been falling asleep.
I haven't had like the explosion sound, but when I'm falling asleep, what will happen is it feels like I'm about to fall asleep, and then it's like right before I do, it feels like I'm falling off the bed and I like fall down, and I'm like, and I like jolt myself awake, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, I didn't fall from anywhere. I wasn't floating up in the sky. I didn't just land on my bed. But for some reason, my body just thought like, "Oh, you're falling!" Like, no, I'm laying down. What the fuck? Have you ever had that happen? Where you're just like, "Oh!"
Or
And then
you ever had
wake up and you're like, what
you
the
ever had the
fuck?
like half awake dream, like you're driving a car, and then you're about to hit something, and then like
you're
you
just
wake
like,
up and you're like, oh fuck.
Oh well, okay. So a lot of that has to do with like dreams. So we can't die in our dreams because dreams are based off of our memories, and we don't remember dying ever. So unless you've had an NDE, you can't die in your dreams, which is odd.
Tree man syndrome. That is an epidermodysplasia.
Plasia.
Plasia. Something. It causes
verruciformis.
Okay. Anyways, it causes
bark-like skin.
Yeah, you get like warts on your skin that are similar to tree bark.
Holy shit.
And it usually covers large parts of your body.
Making the skin look like tree bark. What?
There is fish odor syndrome.
Ew.
And that causes the body to emit fishy odor, and that is because of a body not being able to break down trimethylamine.
Trimethylamine.
Methylamine.
Trimethylamine.
Yeah. And that's found in certain foods. There is Alice in Wonderland syndrome, and this affects your perception, making objects appear larger or smaller than what they actually are. Oh. And it can also distort sense of time and like space.
Wow, that's interesting.
Foreign accident syndrome. That is where you get a brain injury or stroke, and you wake up speaking with a foreign accent or language.
Okay, if I get severely hurt and injured, I kind of want that. Like, Chilio. Hey, mate.
There's Stone Man.
They're like, what the fuck? Why is Ray talking like this?
Stone Man syndrome causes muscles, tendons, and ligaments. Kind of turns them into bone, and this can cause joints to lock up. Oh,
that's crazy.
Werewolf syndrome. That's where you get the hair growth all over your body.
Oh my god!
Laughing death is a brain disease, and it causes uncontrollable laughter and tremors, and eventually death.
It spreads through cannibalistic rituals. Jeez.
There is blue skin disorder, and there's a guy here in Lawrence that has that, and there's also another guy here in Lawrence that took silver capsules long enough that his skin looks kind of silvery.
Hey, we should do an episode about the blue fugates.
Okay.
That's
anyways,
cool.
Okay. Blue skin disorder is where the skin turns blue due to abnormal levels of methemoglobin in the blood.
Metahemoglobin.
Yeah, whatever. And that is the blue fugates of Kentucky are an example of that. The ones you just talked about. There are people that are allergic to water.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Causes painful
tears
hives.
And sweat can trigger reactions
when the skin comes into contact with water.
I know people allergic to the sun.
Wow. Even tears and sweat.
There is pica, and this is an eating disorder that causes people to crave non-food items like dirt, chalk, hair, stuff like that. You've seen like the My Strange Addiction where the lady's like obsessed with like eating toilet paper
she
and
has
stuff
to,
like that.
Eat random shit.
Let's see.
Stone Man.
Dancing plague.
We should do an episode about that too.
Some sort of poisoning that caused people to dance for days.
Okay, go back to the dancing plague. So in 1518, Strasbourg, France, I believe, they had a dancing plague where a woman had danced for several days,
Mhm.
and supposedly she never stopped, and then several other people started dancing. Yeah, and they all died. They just died of the exhaustion, basically.
There is maple syrup urine disease. This is a genetic disorder
What?
that makes urine smell like maple syrup.
Oh, because your body can't break down
Mhm.
certain amino acids.
No. Porphyria. I don't know. It affects your skin and nervous system and includes light sensitive. Yeah. Okay.
Elephant man disease.
Yeah. We've heard of that. There's a movie about that guy.
Yeah.
Jumping Frenchman of Maine. This is a rare disorder that causes an exaggerated startle reflex, and they like, I don't know.
This happened.
It's almost sounds like Tourette's. Like they jump, shout, and mimic people.
Yeah, basically they
Yeah.
get startled very quickly, and they jump and they're like, "Oh fuck!"
Morgellons disease. I probably pronounced that wrong. So it feels like you have bugs under your skin, and a lot of times you develop sores and stuff like that under there. We already talked about those. Let's see if that's all of them. Why is it recycling? Okay, so that was that article. The next article is How Stuff Works, and it is 20 diseases that you probably never heard of, which is probably similar to. So there is Perry-Romberg syndrome, and this is an acquired, not inherited disorder where skin and soft tissues on the face begin to shrink, leading to kind of a off-shaped face in appearance.
That's weird.
There
Atrophy.
there is Saticil, which is cerebral autosomal dominant arteriopathy with subcortical. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce all that.
Infarcts.
Yeah.
Leukoencephalopathy.
So basically, it's caused by too small of blood vessels, usually in younger people and young adults, and it causes cognitive impairment and dementia.
Oh, Jesus.
At a young age.
What the fuck?
Uh-huh.
Watch out for that shit. Jesus Christ.
CCS, which is Cronkite Canadian syndrome. Cronkite.
Yeah.
And this is where you get a sudden loss of taste, intestinal polyps, hair loss, and nail growth problems. All in one, apparently. All right, these are kind of weird. I am going to
Haley syndrome?
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Havana syndrome?
I think so.
It's not really a syndrome. It's a type of medical condition. Back in, I think, let's see. Let's Wikipedia it real quick. So back in like the whole Russian, Cold War era, we had spies in Havana. Well,
Havana. No. Sorry.
God. Well, okay, so these spies were getting like sick,
Mm-hmm.
and they would said that they would hear this like strange noise. It sounded like metal grinding on metal, and it would drive them like nuts, and it would cause so much pressure and vibration that they literally could not think or breathe, and so they had to go to the hospital. Well, several of these people um, would have this happen, and then other nearby people, including family members and guests, did not have anything happen to them. So it's like they would hear this stuff, and then their friends are like, I don't hear anything.
It's like, no, but you did.
They're like, dude, how the fuck do you not hear that? And so they would, and they were in Cuba when this happened. So that's why they call it the Havana syndrome. So it's kind of weird.
Okay. I got 3 more articles we're going to kind of skim through, and then that'll be it. This is learningmind.com, and this is weirdest mental illnesses, top 20 weirdest and rarest mental illnesses you won't believe exist. The Alice in Wonderland syndrome is on here. There is erotomania, and this is where people are convinced someone is in love with them.
What?
Yes, and usually someone of much higher financial or social status.
So they're like,
Yep. Do you remember the lady that was on
oh my
Dr.
God.
Phil that swore that she was pregnant with Jesus?
Oh my God.
She thought she was pregnant with Jesus' baby, and
What the
yeah.
fuck? Celebritophilia?
Yep. And that is where they have an obsessive compulsive obsession with and sexual desire for a celebrity. I know someone that literally they went and spent a lot of money. They put it on a credit card, almost maxed out the credit card, buying backstage tickets to try to hook up with a country music artist, and this is
Good
while they
Lord.
were in a married relationship.
What?
Yep, it was.
They know about it?
Oh, dude, they made it public all over their Facebook, fighting about it.
Oh.
It was bad.
That's funny. Who was it?
I'm not. No, I ain't getting into that.
We'll have to edit our shit again.
So there's Lima syndrome, and this is kind of the opposite of Stockholm syndromes. This is where hostages become. So Stockholm syndrome is where hostages become attached to their kidnapper. Well, this is where the kidnappers become emotionally attached to their victim.
Oh.
And then they try to like court them.
Yeah, I've heard of Stockholm syndrome.
Capgras delusion is a frightening disorder where the sufferer thinks that a close personal friend has been replaced by an imposter who looks exactly like their friend but is not them. Yeah, whatever.
You're not him! I know it's not you!
Fully educe is where, which it means madness of two, is where delusion is shared by 2 people. There's usually a primary and secondary person in the shared delusion, and the primary starts the delusion thinking and it passes it on to the secondary. Wasn't there a Joker movie called that?
I don't know.
What's
it called again?
Paris syndrome. This is a particular syndrome that affects mostly Japanese tourists. Paris syndrome is where someone visits a city and is extremely disappointed in what they find. Symptoms include anxiety, hallucinations, and even feelings of persecution. Ekbom's syndrome is where people feel like their skin is infested by insects. Weird.
Go back to that one syndrome, that phalatus. What was it called?
F-O-L-I.
F-O-L.
Yeah.
I.
Yeah. Apotemnophilia is where people have a desire to amputate completely healthy parts of their body.
Whoa, what the fuck?
Yep. And then there is clinical lycanthropy, and that is a syndrome where a person thinks they are turning into an animal. Not just a wolf, but all sorts of things like cats, birds, frogs, and even bees.
Oh my god.
We had a kid that ran around the hallway thinking he was Sonic. Put his arms back and everything. Hair dyed blue.
I had a kid in, I forget what class, but he was like, I swear, he's like, I turn into a cat at night. And we were all like, you're fucking weird. And he was like, no, it's real. It's a real thing. It's a condition. And we're like, no, you're just fucking weird.
And here we are. And this is livescience.com. This is 10 medical conditions that sound totally fake but are actually real. Facial blindness. What is that? That is where struggle to identify familiar faces or to tell them apart. Weird. Sleeping Beauty syndrome is where you can sleep. You're sleepy, so you can sleep for like 20 hours a day, and
Whoa.
sometimes the bouts can go for several days.
Oh, who was it that
And then
had
it
like a really
said,
long sleep?
Snow White.
No.
And then it says when you wake up, then you kind of get like flu-like symptoms. It's weird. Hallucinating, acting childish, mad cow disease. We already talked about alien hand syndrome. Imposter syndrome. What is this? Oh, walking corpse syndrome. And our last article we are going to touch on is 11 rare and freaky mental illnesses that take bizarre to a whole new level, which is probably going to be all stuff we've already touched on. Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Ooh, Cotard's delusion. And this is where people think that their body is like they're missing parts of their body.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
What's it called again?
Cotard's syndrome.
What's the Paris syndrome?
Paris syndrome is where you're basically just upset that Paris isn't as nice as you thought. Like, it's mainly Japanese tourists. That's what it literally
what
said.
The fuck? They're like, yeah, this is what it's like.
That's what happens when women sleep with Ray.
Yeah,
Thoroughly
sorry,
disappointed.
It's not that great. Sorry.
Syndrome. Kluver Bucy syndrome. Bucy syndrome. I don't know. Not spelled the same way as that beaver place. This is a
no clue what you're talking about.
Cerebral neurological disorder stemming from damage to both the patient's temporal lobes, and they have strong urges to place objects in their mouth and also have the tendency to engage in inappropriate sexual behavior.
What the fuck?
While it might sound pretty funny, it probably isn't as much fun for those suffering from the disorder.
Yeah, so they're just like, accidentally like getting freaky.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, no, I didn't want to.
Oh, this one sounds fucking weird. Okay, this is bone therapy, and this is similar to lycanthropy in the sense that sufferers believe they turned into animals. However, bone therapy is specific to individuals who believe that they are cows. One of the rarest documented psychological disorders patients experience it have been recorded walking around on all fours, mooing, eating grass, and even joining cattle to graze and hang around in green pastures. What the fuck?
Can you just imagine some guy just walking around in your fucking field and you're just
dude,
like, moo. And then the cows are just like, the fuck, bro?
dude, that's so weird as shit. Like, I don't.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, that's. I mean, these are real conditions.
Yeah.
So
like I'm not making fun. Oh, here we go. Coro syndrome takes
fascinating.
Takes genital relaxed or related anxiety and cranks it all the way up to 11.
Wait, what?
Hold on. It's described as a psychiatric disorder where individuals experience extreme irrational paranoia that their penises or vulva and nipples for females are shrinking into their bodies and will eventually cause their deaths. The syndrome has been more commonly exhibited by males and is more common in Southeast Asia than anywhere else in the world. It has been classified as being an obsessive compulsive disorder. Those suffering it have claimed that their obsession with their shrinking genitalia can range from being quite mild to all the way to extreme, with some patients being compelled to measure their privates multiple times a day. What the fuck? Just like sit there and like, sir, this is the DMV. You can't just whip out a tape measure. Like,
I'm just thinking of the tape measure that you find on the ground randomly, and it's like, who wrote hard and soft on the 3-inch part? Like, what the fuck? How did it move? What?
All right. Well, so if you have any of those symptoms, you might want to contact a medical professional because we are not medical professionals.
Yeah.
Although I do have a colonoscopy cam over there, which Ray's going to get after we go off there.
No, I'm not.
All right, everyone.
Nope.
Have a good night and
go face your fears.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.